Hey everybody, before we start the show, let me remind you about Blue Apron. You see, right now I'm stuck indoors from a massive snowstorm. But I'm not worried because I have my box of fresh, delicious Blue Apron food. What is Blue Apron? It's the #1 delivery and recipe fresh ingredient service in the country. So basically, I don't have to leave my house, and today I can cook roasted pork with apple, walnut, and farro salad, and some crispy barramundi with quinoa, and roasted carrot salad. They're flexible. You customize your recipes every week based upon your preferences. I'm just really excited. I have a whole week worth of food here, and I don't have to leave. So right now, I want you to do is go with this week's menu, the stuff I just said. Go get your first 3 meals free shipping by going to blueapron.com/conversations with an S. You will love how good it feels, how it tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait. That's blueapron.com/conversations. Enjoy the show.
The following advertisement has been paid for by the big guy Ryback. Are you hungry? You know I'm so hungry, big guy. Hey, Mark, what brings you here? So I'm just here to hang out with my all-time favorite superstar of all time. What brings you here? Well, I'm doing a paid advertisement for Feed Me More Nutrition, available at feedmemore.com. Big guy, that is music to my ears. Did you tell the people about your Ice So Hungry grass-fed whey protein isolate, the best tasting protein on the market? Wake Up Unlimited Energy, the strongest pre-workout on the market, and the Big Guy all-natural testosterone booster, my personal fave. Big guy, you're on to something with this Feed Me More Nutrition. It is some top quality stuff. Well, thank you, Mark. It is. Feed Me More Nutrition. Premium, quality, the highest quality supplements on the market today. Available now at feedmemore.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, and right now, I'd like to introduce...
Whoa. A guy who lost his smile. A guy who took his brand and walked away from millions of dollars. He hails from Sin City. Damn it! That's enough for you two! Shut up! You're I think he said we're fired. Shut up! Pat, slap my ass! It's time for conversation with the big guy, pal!
Welcome to Conversation with the Big Guy. I am the big guy Ryback, and I'm sitting here with the one, Pat Buck.
And we're back on another episode. Some great feedback. But before we start this very professional broadcast, we would like to mention a few upcoming things for us. So you want to start this off?
Absolutely. Guys, Feed Me More Nutrition is available now at feedmemore.com and available at I'llPumpYouUp.com. In Las Vegas at Spartan Nutrition in North Las Vegas and Pumped Up Fitness Nutrition on Sahara and Rainbow. Wake Up, It's Feeding Time, the motivational book by the big guy, is available now on Amazon and through feedmemore.com in Kindle and paperback format, coming soon to Audible. Northeast Wrestling WrestleFest 21, March 3rd, signing at 5 p.m., bell time at 8 p.m. Come out and see the big guy Ryback live and in person for a special meet and greet, and I will also be performing. Also on that card, we have Kurt Angle, a WWE Hall of Famer soon to be, versus Cody Rhodes. And also making appearances are Great Khali and Jerry the King Lawler, along with TK O'Ryan and Wrecking Ball Legursky are also on the card.
Right. And then you're going to be a big event the day after that. Remember that. That's in Queens.
Is that I forgot all about that. I don't have that written down. I apologize. I'm at the big event all day from 10 to 4, we will say. In Queens, New York.
And I was going to plug the upcoming shows, but I realized this comes after. So my next event is March 11th, Rahway, New Jersey, WrestleProOnline.com. You can see Brother Love, Bruce Pritchard will be in the house, Tommy Dreamer, Joey Ryan, a whole bunch of stuff. The most important show of my life, though, will be March 30th. If you're going to WrestleMania, if if you listen to this show and I see you guys in Orlando, we have quite a hefty audience in Orlando. I don't mean weight-wise. I mean there's a decent amount of people in Orlando that listen to this.
Jesus.
So we don't like to pick on the bigger people of the world, but Thursday, March 30th, before WrestleMania, WrestlePro at WrestleCon. You can see Ryback versus Colt Cabana, Cody Rhodes, the BWO, Swoggle, Grado. We just added Jeff Cobb, the Hit Squad, Bull Dempsey, and so much more. WrestleCon.com. Please check out this show. Get a ticket. It's the most important thing I've ever done in my life to sell out on WrestleMania weekend.
That's going to be a hell of a weekend.
It's going to be a long, fun, busy wrestling weekend. I've never taken part in WrestleCon before, but I think it's going to be a good time. And I like the fact that we're kicking it off on Thursday, and that'll be a busy night probably for me, and then you'll have an event after that, which we could probably talk about on a future episode. You're going to be having a Q&A in Orlando.
That's going to be, we're turning that into quite the busy weekend for me, which I like. I told, like, if I'm going to be there, it's just a lazy attitude not to want to do things. Like, but I WrestleMania week was always hell for me. One, because I was never happy with the pre-show for the last 3 years after and then the Mark Henry match at 29. That was all fine. That was my first one. So that was just stressful in a different way. But like, they let the fans. So like, I love our fans, but you like a lot of them. There's some that just don't. They let them into the hotels, and like the guys like that. They don't understand like it's work, and like in the preparation that goes into like doing this stuff, and they're everywhere, and so it like you can't. It's really hard to like. They bring you in for the whole week there before, and like you're just trying to get your stuff done and stay on a routine, and like you're off. You're not necessarily. They just bring you there a week early, and like you have a few days off before you have to start like some of your appearances and stuff. And everybody keeps a pretty busy schedule with all that, but like it could be pretty. It's tedious, and like I'll never forget New Orleans, and it was just you're just like, oh my God, and it's when you're like used to being shut off, and like you got people and then just asking for pictures all the time and autographs, and you're there, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but you're in an area where you're used to having your privacy, but everyone knows WrestleMania is in town. They all know the WrestleMania hotel, and that's why I never like staying at TV hotel. I like just booking my own rooms, and like because then they don't know where you're at, and you could just like chill out, and like I'm a normal dude. I work hard. Everybody there is a normal person. They just they work hard, and like they wrestle on TV, but like they just. And
what's it like to prep for WrestleMania? I haven't obviously just heard things. I mean, people obviously pay special attention to their match. Do you have times where you meet up with it? Like, is there more?
Yeah.
Do you take it a little more seriously than a regular pay-per-view?
Yeah, well, I think everybody does, and well, like at the WrestleMania hotel, like it's a very nice hotel every year, and they have rehearsals where essentially where they have rings set up all week for the talent to go down there if they want to go work on stuff or work on anything, and
it's only for Mania, right? They don't do that for like SummerSlam or anything else?
We haven't, and not to say that they haven't on something. I wasn't there. I haven't seen it on anything else, but I know they have done for every once in a blue moon. If it's like a Money in the Bank match, they'll get together beforehand and have a little bit of a rehearsal or something.
Okay.
And I say rehearsal as far as it's just kind of getting everybody together,
like brainstorming.
Yeah.
Stuff.
And obviously for the more dangerous things, you kind of go through a little bit, but it's different every year. Every year though, you get your rehearsal time, and even the pre-show matches are treated exactly the same. And they always say Vince always hated the term pre-show, and as you've seen, they'll put anybody on them. It's really kind of Vince. I honestly don't think he considers it like a bad thing, but the talent do, because it's
okay.
It's before the actual show. Is like with the WWE Network, it's all the same. But as far as old pay-per-view format, it's just like it's just you wouldn't put your main event match on that slot. So
No, never.
never. So like,
I know people make the argument like, oh, but more eyes are on the pre-show, so therefore it's a great spot. I mean, do people try to pretend that's a thing?
Yeah, they try to. And again, I'm cool with focusing on the positives for it, but like,
Sure.
it's one of those things. It's like, well, then, okay, Hunter, why don't you go wrestle on it then? Or like, like seriously, if it's that damn important, like, but and everybody's been plugged into it at one point or another, the majority of guys or divas, and you've seen like you could be in the main event on one pay-per-view, and then literally, honestly, you could be in the pre-show on the next. Nothing. There's no rhyme or reason.
Well, here's a question. If it's too personal, you don't have to answer, though. But is there a difference in pay grade between having that spot and being on the regular card, or it's just kind of, it is what it is?
There was until this year. They paid me better. It was I would like to say it was probably my second best payday in WWE, and that was after I walked out and I thought they were
WrestleMania pre-show.
Yeah, and I thought they were going to fuck me over for sure, and I don't know what the reasoning was. Because my worst payday the year before was the WrestleMania pre-show of all the
Really?
and I was on pretty much. I was always booked on I won't say every pay-per-view, but the majority of the network pay-per-views. And even when I wasn't used in a good fashion, I was consistently in the mix, which I always appreciated as far as on that end. Mm-hmm. And my worst payday, I can't remember if it was 2015 or 16. It was 2015 or 2014 was a WrestleMania match. It was a pre-show, and it was worse than other kickoff pay-per-views for me.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's no rhyme or reason, but like the network is doing supposedly better now, or there's more subscribers. But people got to understand, we're not privy to this information. And if you ask questions on like, why was I paid this? They just give you the runaround left and right. I've gone in there multiple times on certain pay things, and just gotten the runaround. Like, yeah, we'll look into it. We'll get back to you. And then and of course he never does. Mark Carano, and then like Hunter, like nobody. It's just really like.
I mean, is there a guy that dictates the actual numbers? I mean, I used to hear back in the day it was, I don't know if this is true or not, like Jim Ross.
Yeah, but I'm sure everything comes from Hunter and Vince, but I'm sure maybe Carano has that power, but if it becomes a problem, then it goes to Hunter, and then if it's past that, it goes to Vince. And
Gotcha.
So Carano could have maybe free reign on that, and his job is obviously going to be to save the company as much money as possible, unless they go take care of the boys on this one, and that stuff does happen occasionally, but there's things when like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you bring up and raise a valid question like why was I paid this, and you happen to win, who's to say they're not going to dock a few $100 off of every check for the next
next one, yeah. Okay.
Because there's no way of ever knowing. But back to the WrestleMania prep, it's a stressful week, more so than not, just more because you don't have your privacy like you normally do. Your routine is a little different, and but the rehearsals and all that, they're all treated the same. You all have scheduled rehearsals, and as far as that, every match is treated as important and whatnot. But I do remember that first one with Mark Henry was very stressful because I told you Mark doesn't like to get picked up, and
sure, absolutely.
He's a large human being. He's not it's not just his weight. He's just thick. His legs are
condensed.
Big.
Yeah,
his legs are bigger than anything you've ever seen in person, and even now at this point in his career, he's still as far as just physically looking at him, even when he's lost weight, he's still larger than the majority of people. Mm-hmm. But he used to be able to dunk a basketball, and I'm sure he probably still could if he had to. And but he doesn't like to get picked up. So I remember I had to pick him up for Shell Shock, and they wanted to go over it a few times. He's like, no, we'll be fine when we get out there. And with that whole Tenzai debacle before, where I hooked Tenzai wrong, and I was like, it's all on me, Mark. As long as I hook you properly, I can get you up. The weight's not an issue. I sometimes because on smaller guys, I will just throw them up and not worry about where I'm hooking them. But if you know anything about proper form and good mornings, and this is a partial good morning and a partial deadlift and squat all in one, and Mark was like, trust me, if I jump, and that's always been to Mark's credit. Anytime he's ever told me, just trust me out there, he's come through out there.
Okay.
But we went to go pick him up the first time, and he didn't go up good, and he got like he was hesitant, so he put his weight got heavy, and so we went up and came right back down to his feet, and I was just like, oh boy, Mark, I was like, oh please, like I'm strong, but like if he throws his weight back down, like that's a tough one, and
it's career defining moments, Like you can't escape that one.
Almost as bad as falling on your face while having him up in your finish for the actual finish. And it would have been better just to fucking not be able to get him up. Actually, now that I think about it, wait, what do you mean you want me to fall on my face? But then when he jumped with me, it was actually really easy. He went up fairly, and we wrestled on many occasions past WrestleMania, but. That was the other thing, too, WrestleMania. I had to not only pick him up, I had to walk him to the ropes for him to grab the rope for me to, quote-unquote, trip and fall flat on my face and get knocked out from falling on my face. For the pin, not even get picked up and hit me with his finish. I just knocked myself out tripping on my finish. And then he had to come back to pick the bones, as was described to me, where I would hit him with a spine buster, then get him for shell shock. And then go on to become the number one contender the next night on Raw.
It's great booking.
It makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Jesus Christ!
But I remember it was. I've had good me and Kalisto had fun doing our little deal before, and I love Kalisto. Like I enjoy working him a lot actually, and it was always me and him could do anything out there, and it was always really cool.
Did you ever talk about the pre-show stopper belts?
We touched on it, I know, before. I just remember I told you they got really hot over all that. And John Cone, whom I'm a big fan of John Cone. Sorry, John, if I get you any heat with this. But he's always been he's a normal, good dude. And like I said, I always give what I get. Like I'm the nicest guy in the world. But if you come at me the wrong way, don't be surprised when it comes back at you. And
sure.
But Cone has just always been very respectful and just a good human being. And he was like, they kept saying they take off the weight belt, and I was just like, tell him to fuck off. And like, just it was great. Like it was like multiple occasions out there and whatnot. I was checked out at that point. Like I told you, I was that night. I remember that whole sequence. Me and Dolph went and had Hooters afterwards. Like we met halfway up somewhere, like nearby the next, I think St. Louis, somewhere on the way. Had Hooters. Next day, I get up, do my workout, get my nice suit on, go to the building, and I don't know if did I ever tell you it was I was already decided in my mind that I was done. I would have liked to have stayed there for the remainder of my contract.
Well, I remember you voxing me that day. You're like, I'm about to go out. I'm about to wrestle in WrestleMania. This building is half full right now because it's earlier on.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm going to go out there and have a great match, but I could give two fucks about this right now.
Yeah.
That's what we said. You're like, I'm going to have a great match. I like working with Kalisto. I don't give a fuck about this right now, though.
Yeah.
So I remember you telling me that.
And I remember there was I was sitting in the locker room and there were WWE some legends that were in the Battle Royal that was on the main show and guys like when Baron Corbin, that was his debut at WrestleMania, and I'm just like, I've killed myself year after year for this company and proven time and time again, and I was just like, I'm on the pre-show and I'm just sitting there and they show up and they're on the actual show, and I was just there was a lot like that going on that day, and that's just my honest true feelings on it, and nothing against, they all should have that opportunity. It's great. I just wanted it too, and the people actually do it. I don't know if we ever really talked about this. That Dallas WrestleMania, the people got stuck. Something happened where they got stuck in the corridors before coming to their seats, and they wouldn't let them into the building. I mean, there were thousands and thousands of people, and that was a big reason why that arena was so empty for our pre-show match. And I say empty, and there was still probably, I think they said between 25 and 30,000 in there.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, it was just
it's 100,000. Yeah.
I'm just looking around and seeing a few people sitting next to each other in row after row of empty seats, and
And in your mind, obviously, it's the biggest show in history.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, what the fuck is this?
And it does nothing. And two, it's like, and one thing too, and when you're gonna put somebody over, you want it to mean something. And like, and it was like, oh, pre-show, and then it's like, oh, nobody's like, it just, and I felt bad for Kalisto. I was like, and they didn't do anything with him after all that. And it's like, I remember there was somebody told me a story. There was a WWE Hall of Famer who I'm very fond of, and I'm talking Vince Senior days, who was at that show, who threw a fucking fit when he saw the finish to that match at WrestleMania, and he couldn't understand
to your match.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why the things were the way they were with me, with them. And that meant the world to me. And this
you don't want to say?
No.
You can't say who?
I was because of the guy that told me the story that was with him asked me not to say his name, and I won't.
Okay.
But it was like, I'm talking one of the greatest of all time. So like, if not the greatest of all time. So, and that meant a lot to me, that he was upset with that. He said he slammed his fucking hands down on the table, and but
I'm trying to guess who this is. You never. I need to find this out.
I told him I wouldn't, and we don't ask.
No, I respect that. Yeah, it's fine.
I don't want to, and just for his sake, and but yeah, it was that pre-show stopper about the next pay-per-view in Chicago. They were furious at, but I left. I didn't even wait to talk to anybody. I just went, got changed, and drove off, left, had Hooters, showed up the next day. Oh, this is where I was going with this, by the way. They and this is nothing against Titus O'Neil or anything, but I just know how they view him as far as, and how they've used him, and never have gone through with anything with him either and whatnot. And there was a battle royal for the number one contender for the U.S. Championship. And rather than just taking the guy who was the number one contender for the last two pay-per-views and having him have a strong showing in it, I get it. You got to move on and put the next guy in. But psychology-wise, you would think you would have me in there to the very end to show that why I was a worthy U.S. contender, just to have that, because I was the last guy fighting him. And it was like the first eliminations was Titus O'Neil eliminating not only me, but Apollo Crews together. And as soon as and this is just me being honest, like I always am, as soon as I heard that, I realized that Vince was going to start the shitting on me even more phase until my contract, because of everything going on with the contract. And I was just like, I'm not playing his fucking games anymore. And that's when I just told him, I went to Toronto, and I didn't even want to see Vince. Had I saw him going out, I would have spoken to him. But the fact that like Mark even goes, well, do you want to talk to him? I go, absolutely not. Like, just like, there's just nothing. I've been there, done that. How many times? Like,
sure.
He's just going to lie to my face again. And like, and it was just so like, I remember just leaving that day and like, see you guys later. And just like so happy I went straight to fucking Hooters and had my chicken wings, and I've never been more sure on a decision in my life. So
I saw a couple things asking about, because I'm a big fan of it too, that a lot of people they think that wings are bad for you, and that if you eat them properly, we both like the naked, no, whatever, what is it? No breading Hooters wings are actually not that bad for you.
So there is now in the way that they're not as bad for you. So let me. There's always better options.
Okay.
But you got to remember, I'm going by my activity level, my body weight, and me eating calories. Never mix chicken wings with carbs. So like breaded chicken wings are the worst things in the world to eat for you. And I've talked
because there's fat and carbohydrates in them.
Fat and carbohydrates in them, along with protein. You either want to eat protein carbs or protein fats, never mixing your carbohydrates and your fats. So breaded chicken wings, that's why pizza, chicken wings, things like that are all bad for you, because they mix the three protein, fats, and carbohydrates together.
Sure.
And so, but naked chicken wings have no carbs. So if you go in, as long as you go and have no carbs with it, you can have a salad with it, have some vegetables with it, and then you're just doing proteins and fats, and your body digests it. It digests it. I can't botch. Blah, 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 blah. Silly Susie sips sangrias. Silly Susie sips sangrias. I went to speech class for my S's when I was a kid.
Really? I was supposed to for my, I used to have a really bad lisp.
I couldn't say my own goddamn name as a kid.
Really?
My R's and my S's. My R's are fine now. I used to say my name Y and Weaves.
Like Elmer Fudd.
Yeah. I'll never forget. I was. This was.
I wish you still did.
WYBACK Wolves. The moment, here's what happened. Nobody ever said anything. Like, you would have thought they would have put me in speech class at some point before, but I remember I got through a couple grades, either kindergarten and first grade, and it didn't happen till second grade, or they caught it in first, but I was like, how the hell did I make it through kindergarten?
Yeah, that's still not that bad.
No.
I remember I had to go for that in like fifth grade.
Yeah.
I was older.
Okay.
And
the moment happened, I'll never forget. You know how it's weird how little memories stick with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, sure.
I was in line for lunch, my favorite thing during the day in school, and a girl in front of me was interested in me and was flirting with me. And she asked me what my name was, and I go, Y and Weaves. And she laughed at me, and I was completely devastated. So I went home that day and told my mom that this girl made fun of me because I said my name Y and Weaves, and my mom probably thought it was the cutest thing in the world, oh little Y and probably rubbed my head, and meanwhile I'm just completely fucked up in the head from a young age. So they put me in speech for my R's because everybody thought, and that was my mom told me, but everybody thought it was just so cute. And I'm like, yeah, it is cute, but fucking help me for life.
Sure.
This is you can't have me just being cute forever, guys. There's once you start school, when you're in a social environment, you have to fix these things. And so then they discovered that my S's weren't as strong either. And to this day, I probably have a slight lisp on certain little S things. So, Not bad, but it's one of I always am more conscious of it. But like you just witnessed right there, and me, the S got me with that, and I botched my own podcast.
All right, so speech therapy and chicken wings.
So,
but
the breaded back to the you want to eat your chicken wings with.
It's also confusing because I've seen it before. You'll go, you never know what kind of. I order wings everywhere, probably because of you. Put that in my brain, and but you never know what kind of wings you're going to get. So you always got to make sure that they're. And a lot of waiters will be like, "Oh, I have no idea."
Yeah, you have to ask, and I always are they breaded? And they'll even go back and add. They're always willing to work with you, and they'll ask, and I just like buffalo sauce on them, hot buffalo sauce, and now even with ranch, I'll use sometimes I don't use ranch, and sometimes I'll just dip I'll make sure never to use probably 3/4 of a little container of ranch, maybe even half of it. I just get a little bit. I used to dip them in a lot more, but I realized cutting out fats like that helped a lot. But if you go there and order chicken breast and get 2 or 3 grilled chicken breast with a salad and vegetables, that has a lot less fat than the chicken wings. Chicken wings have a lot of fat in them, but as long as you don't mix them with the carbs, your body uses it as energy rather than storing it as fat. And it doesn't mean you can go and eat 1,000 wings or anything like that, but it definitely keep the no carbs and don't mix your carbs and fats together. And I'm telling you, it will help you tremendously in life.
Great. So we've been doing the review of the week, or basically, encouraging people to leave a nice little 5-star, which most of them were, except for one dickhead that left 2 stars.
Wait, hold on. What was the 2-star, if you don't mind me? I don't look at these, so.
Oh, I look at these all the time, and it said that it's a mediocre podcast. We get on rants, and it takes away from the conversation. I forget the guy's name.
It's all conversation.
Yeah, we can't win, man. But there was I picked the review of the week because I thought it was kind of funny, and here's the review right here. It says, "Because I feel bad for Ryback." That's the name of the review, and it's by a name that I can't. Pronounce.
Don't say his name. What was the beginning again? I'm sorry.
Because I feel bad for Ryback. So this caught my attention. It's still 5 stars, though. Oh. So during last week's episode, You talked about how ephedrine shrinks your dick, then followed up by telling us that you took it in the past. Hearing that, I felt like I had no choice to give you the 5-star review. 5-star review. To give you the 5-star review because your penis most likely doesn't deserve it. Hopefully this will boost your ego and make you feel an eighth of an inch bigger for the moment. In all seriousness, though, you guys do a great job. I love the podcast. I've been a wrestling fan most of my life. I listen to a lot of different podcasts of the week. This is the only podcast that I can get through each time. Everyone else takes themselves way too seriously. You guys have good chemistry, and there's a lot of laughs. Even more than all that, I appreciate how real you guys are. We need more of that, by the way. Best pre-workout I've ever used. Thanks for the entertainment. So that guy, his name is like GXDTHKO, whatever. You are the winner for this week. I thought that was a funny one.
Oh, so he was the actual winner.
I think he's the winner. Yeah, that's.
I feel bad for him that he thought that when I say that ephedrine shrinks your dick, that it's not permanent. It's while you take it, you idiot. You feed me, moron.
There was another review that came from Big Show's Tears, which I laughed at that name.
I would love to hear that.
It just said, definitely one of my favorite podcasts. Love the topics Pat and the big guy discuss. So,
okay.
But thank you guys for the feedback. It's been wonderful, and keep it up. And we'll keep doing this every week. We
so
look through
wait,
them and
who was the winner again? The guy's name, just so
honestly,
I
can't pronounce. It was like so many. It was like it basically looked like somebody typed into the keyboard. But if they can prove that they did that, then they can.
Wait, so they don't even have a legitimate name.
Their name here, it says GXDTHKOYTF, and the last name is DATGI. Unless it's that Saudi Arabian guy that tried to book you at the gym, I don't know who it is.
Okay, so whoever the hell you are, this is going to be a real pain in the ass, by the way. Email the big guy at feedmemore.com with the supplement of your choice and a free shaker bottle. And I will get that out to you next week, and we will work out all those details. And I have a feeling this is going to be a real headache with this one.
Yeah. Bunch of people pretending to be that review.
Yeah,
I'm sure they can prove it. He seems like a nice man.
I have a lot. Like I'm told you with the supplement, with the Feed Me More Nutrition and everything. I'm very hands on with all this and try to get back to as many of the emails as I can, and I just different points of the day, I'm just stop and I'm like, okay, answer 5 emails, but there's so many that you never know. You have legitimate people with legitimate concerns, and then you have people that just want to talk to you, and
we get it on the booking email too all the time.
What was the guy? Is it the UCW one you said? The one that just asked for the passport again, where they're addressing, for everybody listening out there, and we'll make this clear again. When you email book the big guy at yahoo.com, Pat Buck handles all the emails. And so when you call Pat Ryan, it is just disrespectful. Thank you. That's all.
But then it's more so that they keep it up and they just want to talk and talk and talk and there's one guy.
It's a fantasy like they're talking to Ryan. Ryan doesn't even exist anymore. It's Ryback.
And there was one that that had shows going on in Trinidad and Tobago, and I think on the port of Spain.
What happened with that?
And it seemed first it seemed really good and realistic. I'm like, okay, cool. The date's available. Let's keep this going. And then he just he'd be like, well, who do you want to wrestle? It's like, I don't know. That's up to you. We'll approve the opponent, but let us know. He can wrestle all of our Puerto Rican wrestlers! ! I'm like, where the fuck is this going?
That's just ridiculous.
And there's a mix of there's so many different types of promoters out there. It's some they want to jump the gun and they freak out about booking airfare months. You should book airfare if you're a promoter 60 days before. And here's why. You book it 60 days before because at that point, the wrestler will probably know if they have another booking that weekend, and then it becomes cheaper for you. So then you don't have to go changing the flight and losing out on money. And the flight rates haven't gone up yet. So there's 2 types of promoters. There's that one that wants to get it done way too early, and then it could bite them in the butt. Or there's ones that wait till a week before and they go, okay, I'll book it. Oh my God, the price is so much.
Yeah.
And it'd just be nice to have the only ones that are responsible, that I've dealt with. There's probably House of Hardcore and MCW outside of my own thing where like, you know, and then they're like, oh my God, the airfare is that much. It's like, well, get it done. Inquire about the booking.
Yeah.
Book it 60 days out and you'll be good.
And by the way, I make every appearance. And like we said, the Toronto show, the flight was canceled and I drove 6 hours. Like, I am a professional. I know what I show up to my appearances. So
it's funny you mentioned that because I'm freaking out because I have the worst luck with weather. And as we record this, it's before the Starland shows. And for the first time this winter, we're expecting a blizzard for about 8 to 12 hours. And you're about to fly out.
Yeah, I fly out this morning here. I got to be up at 3 a.m. What time is it right now? It has to be 8 something Vegas time right now.
It's 8:40.
8:40. And I got to be up at 3 a.m. for a 6 a.m. flight. So to come back there, we're getting me out there a day early, which is smart with everything. And I mean, worst case scenario is if it goes bad, I guess flying me in on the Friday, the day of the show, would get me in on time still.
I still think we can figure this out.
Yeah,
and Brian Cage is flying out from California that day. So
on Friday?
Oh, so is Cody. Well, Cody's taking a red eye. So like tomorrow night, I think everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
But I'm worried about this flight coming in. We'll see what happens.
Worst case too is they fly you get another flight to like Philadelphia or somewhere where the storm isn't obviously, and then just drive in. I get in at 2, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna be mad. I'm gonna get if I get to the airport and they go, oh, it's canceled or delayed, and like I'm where like if it was delayed like 5 hours and then it gets delayed again, like you know what I mean, where you don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh man, but it'll work out. So they always do.
So we normally like to go to the dirt sheet, see what happened this week. Not a whole lot going on this week.
Did we really catch up with the week? What's going on?
Well, I guess this kind of goes into it. I'm not going to blame your pre-workout, but I've been working out like a maniac, and I had a real scary incident at the gym.
Well, thank you for blaming my pre-workout for that now.
Well, honestly, I take it and like I have a ton of energy, and I've been doing a lot of 2-a-day sessions and a lot of cardio. So, and my strength has gone up quite a bit. So I go to the gym. It's Monday, and Monday in the gym world is known as the Universal Chest Day.
Yep.
And I start with some flat bench press, which I normally do incline stuff, but this year I just got back into. How do you feel about regular, good old fashioned bench press? Because a lot of guys,
I do it all every week now. So, and I was working with power lifters because I always just benched and like. I remember I just walked in and did 500 pounds at CENA's gym back years ago when but I wasn't with no form, no like technique. And I remember like it was like my shoulder was bad back then. I now use the proper mechanics of is coming down to the sternum, trying to break the bar when you bench. As far as there's a lot of little techniques that you use.
Break the bar. What does that mean?
So when you hook the bar, wherever that comfortable grip is, usually my pinky's on that little.
On the pinkies on the ring, right?
Yeah, on the ring. And like what you do is you try to break the bar out. Like you're trying to snap the bar, like bend it, but not in. But
really?
Bend it out. And what that does is it locks your shoulder into the proper position. But you gotta maintain that throughout. But when you come down, you're supposed to come down to the bottom of your chest, your sternum. And when you do that, you got to set up the proper way also, which there's a lot of videos on YouTube. Mark Bell actually has videos by Mark Bell. He has a lot of good stuff on bench press. But you got to drive you try to drive your body through your heels and your feet with your feet flat on the ground. Some people like to be on their toes. It's all dependent on your body and how you're built. But while you're on the bench and you have that little bit of an arch in your back with your butt still touching the bench, you want to drive your body like you're going to go through the wall behind you. But so when you bring the bar down, you rest on your chest, or when it comes to your chest, that's when you drive your feet and your legs where you try to explode back, and it will actually give you a momentum of bringing the bar past that sticking point.
Oh, wow.
But while you're trying to break the bar, it keeps your shoulders in the proper mechanics. Because my right shoulder, I told you I had to do all this rehab for my back and shoulder, and I'm finally feeling really, really good again. And I could bench press, but my bench went down a lot after I had that little injury to my right lat. And my right lat's finally now coming back, and it's almost all back. And But my bench, I mean, I used to regularly just get in the throw 4 something on there and could rep it. And like where I had to like, where I'm just repping 365, 375 now, those are my reps now, where I was like, it's
terrible.
Yeah. No, but plus 2, when you try to use the proper form, I'm not using my legs as good as I can too. It takes a lot of practice, and I practice it every week. And it's just repetitions, but benching the incorrect way, people don't look at this like this. And most guys start going to the gym and they just start lifting, and they have no lifting is the most important thing you could teach yourself how to do, because you will fuck your body up beyond belief lifting the wrong way, where you are injured. There's so many people out there that can never lift it for the rest of their life, as far as like doing like bench press and things like that. They might be able to do certain things, but because they have major injuries where they've had to have shoulder replacement surgery because of bad technique. But it's not. We're at a point now where we're so evolved as humans. We have all this information available online, and with any form, you could just put in the hours and like, how do I bench? And just watch video after video, practice, go back, watch more, practice, go back, watch more. Ask somebody that knows about it. Pay somebody that knows about it to help you, and it will do you a lot of good. I promise.
So I probably should have done that. I've been bench pressing my whole life. Not my whole life, but I think maybe since like 14 years old.
Yeah.
And I avoided flat bench for a while. I was more inclined for last 2 years. I'm like, let me start getting into this. So I'm 200 pounds. I start with the one big plate on each side. So that's what's that, 135, and then I go up to I was like, let me go ahead a little more. I go to 225.
Yeah.
I do that for 8 reps. I go to 275. I do that for 5 reps, and I feel very strong. I'm like, you know what? Today I'm going to go back to 315, which I've done before, but many, many moons ago.
Which, by the way, when you lift and when you aren't lifting like a bench and you first start back up, it takes like a month or 2 to get back to where you were typically, just so you know.
That's what it feels like too. It was about a month and a half where I'm like, I feel really good. My chest was really tight after the 275. I'm like, no, you know what? Whatever. Let me do this. And I feel really awkward because I can clear it, but I always, on that heavy set, I do want a spotter. So I'm looking around the gym like, I hate that. Like, hey, just because I've had it before where I get stuck and and someone has to help me.
I hate asking people. I typically will go under a little bit, but you are smart asking for a spotter.
Okay, so I ask a guy to spot me, and I'm like, look, I can clear it, but maybe I'll get 1 rep. I clear it, and as I'm lowering it, I just hear my chest rip like Velcro, like 3 loud, like, and I'm like, it goes right to, and I needed help getting up, and I was like, that's it. I tore my pec. I was like, I'm fucked, and like an idiot, I still tried to figure out if I can do anything after that. I couldn't do chest. I did do a big arm workout, and I did cardio after.
Yeah,
but,
most people would have left, by the way, after that.
I was like, well, I can still lift my arms.
And
then night,
training, doing a training seminar. I watched after you told me, doing the roll-up drill after and everything, right?
Yeah, I went to my school. I'm like, I'm not going to train tonight. I'm like, I started doing drills, and it hurt a little bit, and I'm still hurting a little bit, but I still got good workouts. It's not torn. It was just,
no.
I don't know what happened. I was asking you, and you said scar tissue, maybe.
Yeah, and that's what to me. That was when you described that. And I remember I had my groin injury where I had my groin fixed, and I had to do rehab right away after. And like the first couple weeks after rehab, after the surgery, I would be in rehab, and I would they had me doing like walking lunges. The first day I did walking lunges, and I was like starting to get fatigued, and I felt that same thing that you just described in my inner groin. And I sat down really quick, and I called the therapist over. I go, I think I just tore my groin. And they go, no, it's probably scar tissue. And they go, let's take it easy for the day. It swelled up instantly, though, on me. Because I had just had surgery, and it turned black and blue, and it like went all the way down into my calf. And like,
Jesus.
It was, I had that for about 2 months afterwards. It would just rip in matches where I would do something. Dude, the most random thing, and just I'd feel a tear. It was scar tissue breaking up in my groin. And like, it was the worst pain in the world, like but like it goes away after a while. And I was just, finally it just stopped. But I always do a lot of stretches for my groin now. And I made a full recovery from it, luckily. So, but yeah, dude, that's scary. I can't tell you. Like, good thing you had a spotter there, and I think anybody that bench is the one thing you need a spotter on. I think for going at any significant weight, because I remember being a kid. My dad had the old concrete weights in the garage, and I would always go out there and just work out. And dude, I was young, and I remember I was just like fucking meathead back then. Oh, I'll throw all the weights in the garage on it, and I remember one time, and luckily I didn't have clips on, but it fell on my chest, and I was out there kicking my legs, and like I figured out it was like the old bar with the metal bar with the plastic around it, and like and like I like dumped it to a side and then dumped it to another side, and like was just so like embarrassed for myself. And but then I was out. I did it. It probably happened like 10 more times. Like I could do this, and like finally I got it. But like story of my life, like just like if at first you don't succeed, try again.
I think that might lead us to our next subject. I was talking about the injury stuff. There are a lot of guys out with injuries, getting surgeries, stuff like that.
I thought you were going to ask me about my week, Pat.
How was your week? How was your week, sir?
It was great. I just, we talked about you. I thought you had another good story too in there, by the way. But
no, that was like a separate thing, just an idea if we can ever get to it one day. But
really,
nothing from this. Yeah, nothing from this week. Why? What did I tell you?
Oh no, you said you had a really funny story. I thought that you said would, and it wasn't the chest thing.
No. I don't. It doesn't come to mind. So might as well just talk about how was your week. I can't remember if there was one. I'm drinking this organic wine. No sulfates in it. Doesn't taste as good as other wines, but it's doing the job pretty well.
Really? I've never organic wine.
Organic wine. Yeah, I went there today because my wife was saying that that the more, because we noticed at your place you drink the old Rex Goliath. That's a real potent wine.
I don't have it here now. I'm all out of wine actually.
Okay.
Menage a trois is my wine of choice.
The red blends.
Yeah, the red blend. I just went with that for a little bit, but I was like, oh, it's the same price essentially as a Menage a trois, but twice the size. And I'll try because I've had cheap wines before that were really good. That one, it's a potent wine. Yeah,
it's real rough. So this one apparently has no sulfites in it. So I'm going to see if I drink this bottle and I wake up and I feel good, then I'll keep continue on.
I'm trying to think of everything that happened this week. Just been really busy with the Feed Me More nutrition orders and everything. I told you it's been. I'll thank you guys again, time and time again. The success of this has been great, and I do everything right now, and I'm very hands-on. And
speaking of hands-on, I think that you wanted to mention there might be an added perk to the big guy supplement. Like this might open a lot of eyes.
Yeah, no. So I think I've been getting a lot of emails and a lot of people that are very, very happy with the Feed Me More nutrition supplements. But the big guy, I've gotten quite a few emails on men and women being very happy for their boyfriends. It is quite the libido enhancer, and I knew that going in. And it's not marketed as a sexual supplement by any means. It's a testosterone booster. But I have a couple really, really good ingredients in there. That one of them is called Butea superba, and it is like a natural Viagra or a natural Cialis, where it just naturally increases blood flow.
How did you learn about this stuff?
I've always been obsessed about all this stuff. I want to be great at everything I do, Pat. So like sex included.
But I do remember the times I lived with you. We had our little like protein / thing in the kitchen area, and you had herbs and all like sorts of stuff where I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck this is.
A cabinet full of different supplements. So like that was like me experimenting. I would always experiment with different herbs, and I could notice little differences in my body, and that's how this whole thing got created. I started making my own supplements and mixing and matching and doing powders and and that was what drove me to do. I was like, this is what I know better than anything, and I have real life experience with it. But there's also an ingredient called Bazella alba, which is a really, really good. It's a spinach, and it's a very, very good natural testosterone booster, essentially.
Sure.
But along with all the other ingredients, people and everything is properly dosed. We don't cut corners on anything. So, but I've gotten a lot of emails about guys with like, thank you for the libido part of it. And like, I don't know how to feel about them. I was like, you're welcome. Like, but
You're welcome. Send me a pic.
Yeah. So no, but it's honestly, it hasn't even been a month yet. And it's just, I'm blown away by the success of this. And I knew it was going to be good going in, but it has been, it's phenomenal. And it's only going to get better. So, and we have a lot of cool new supplements on the way. The Shell Shock Fully Loaded Extreme Fat Burner everything is going back and forth with that, and hopefully we'll be in production soon also. So, on that, but it's been a busy week. It's just doing everything, getting ready to wrestle. I sent you the video of me doing my trying to do my tumbler backflips in the backyard today.
We talked about this on a past episode where you were secretly taking pictures of the little girls in their gymnastic attire. They were doing the backflips. I'm kidding. No.
If you just say that for the first time, like, and people are listening, like, what?
No, you saw this thing that I never knew existed either, and I need to get one for the Creative Pro schools, but it coaches you how to do the back handsprings, and you sent me a video before of you doing essentially a trained back handspring off this rotational device that I never knew existed, but really, really smart. I need to get one of those. It's pretty cool.
I think it's learning, because wrestling has evolved into where doing these certain things are considered being a good wrestler when it's really not, but it's good to be able to improve if you could. But things not cheap. And, but I got the turf in the backyard, and but it teaches you essentially how to kick your legs back, and it keeps a lot of people when they do backflips, if they can do them. Have you ever noticed some people when they do like moonsaults, they'll kind of go to the side?
Yeah.
It's because they're not properly trained, and their body, that's their natural instinct. And that all happens from your head, but it's a lack of commitment to throw your feet straight over your head, your knees. And essentially you got to teach yourself. And I'm like, okay, I understand this now. And I've gone to the trampoline park and practice doing backflips, but I kind of go a little sideways still. Straight enough, but I'm not comfortable yet. And I was like, I need to be completely comfortable just with the mechanism of throwing my legs over my head. So this thing, essentially, it's this barrel, and it's a padded barrel, and it has it's like a hexagon type shaped thing. And you roll, and it starts, as you get to a certain point, it forces you just to go all the way back. And what you do is, if you don't throw your feet back, you will, you just fall on your, not on your head because you keep your hands on the ground, but your head, and you just kind of fold up. So and I it teaches you how to throw your legs back hard. And you're like, whoa, that's easy. Once you learn it, it's and then you just do it, rep, then go back to the trampoline park, master the straight backflip. And then before you know it, on a random indie show, I do a backflip off the top rope.
Be Ryback versus Ricochet. coming soon.
No, but with selling included. And that's in a good way. So that's what.
Anything else going on this week aside from that?
Had sex with a black girl. I don't know.
Okay. I think it's been a while since we've had a couple episodes where we talked about the dating life of the big guy.
Yeah. Not gonna very honest. That's the one thing, if you guys don't get about me, I just tell it like it is. And I think that's the best way to be. Yeah. Met her, went on a date, and
how'd you meet her?
One of my dating mechanisms that we don't talk about.
Okay, we don't talk about this.
It's there's multiple dating mechanisms online now these days, and because that's the easiest way. I'm not going to go out to a club and go hang out for 6 hours. I don't have the time. So okay. This is what I do. Looking for love, and she's not the right one, but great girl, and it was an amazing time. But I just thought it was funny, and everything's cool. Still texting me, and but I'm not really interested in her past the physical element. So
Okay, so just another one in the bullpen.
another notch on the old big guy belt. You know what I was going to ask you about before we take a break here?
Okay.
Was the Buffalo Wild Wings I noticed on the podcast last week.
Yeah, well, I mean, they insert any companies that are willing to that want to advertise, and they put on they'll insert them in for the pre-roll or the post-show advertisement. But yeah, Wild Wings is on board.
Was that because I did that really sweet advertisement for them, like with the buffalo wing sauce? Remember that?
Yeah, I sure hope so.
That would have
be nice
been
to get some more sponsors for this show.
I'm going to really start thinking about what I want to sponsor even more now, just to mention them, to hopefully that this podcast is nothing but advertisements.
I'll take a free gift card. I'll be happy with that.
Oh, I did tell you this, El Pollo Loco, because I love them, and you guys, if you're involved in the stock market, go ahead and throw some money in El Pollo Loco.
The entire stock market is up. El Pollo is still down.
Still down a considerable amount. I don't care. I don't need the money as far as that, but it hurts because it's the only. I've done very well in the stock market. We've talked about this, and El Pollo Loco though has hurt me very badly. They did me a lot of good early on, and they were being looked into after they went public, and after the IPO.
Looked into as really
as far as
some stuff.
Yeah, because their price dropped. It went up really high and then it dropped really quickly, and but it was up for a while. And I told you I paid for like 3/4 of my pool through El Pollo Loco, and it was great. But then they dropped, and I was heavily involved at that point, and that was early on in my stock days, actually, where I'm much more educated now, and I was educated then, but I just kind of got caught up in a good thing, and I've learned firsthand. Okay, you got to diversify a little more than that, big guy. And no, but I love working with them. Their food is amazing. I go there every day. I can't tell you. 2 chicken fajita burritos, no sour cream, extra chicken on one of the burritos typically, with salsa roja is my favorite meal of the day.
Okay.
And but I contacted them because I've done the appearance for them before, and we've worked with them, and they've sent me gift cards before, but they're going to send us some more, I believe, gift cards to give away for our weekly review, along with the supplement of choice and the free shaker bottles. So hopefully we'll have those coming in here very soon to add to it. But if not, guys, go to El Pollo Loco and let's get that stock price up, okay? And with that, let's take a quick break, and we'll return right after this.
Okay, while we refill the old wine glass, you know what goes great with wine, especially white wine? Cashew chicken stir fry with tango mandarins and jasmine rice. Where are you going to get something like this? Do you know how to cook this? Because I don't, but I do now because of Blue Apron. Blue Apron has sent this lovely little package. It's cheap, it's affordable. For less than $10 per person, Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes like the one I just said, along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. So now I can cook that fancy dish, have it with the rest of my wine, and enjoy my life. So what you need to do, you get your first 3 meals for free just by listening to this show and free shipping. You don't have to pay for a thing. Go to blueapron.com/conversations. They want to get you on board to use their products. So please, you'll love how good it feels, how it tastes. Create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron. So please don't wait. blueapron.com/conversations. Back to the show. And we're back. We've refilled the old glass, but we're going to do a kind of a weekend review or just kind of see what's happening. Not a lot happening in wrestling, I feel. A couple things here and there. But unfortunately, guys are getting surgery. You know, Seth got hurt. Darren Young apparently just put out that he's getting surgery.
Really?
Yeah. I think he hurt his elbow, and I think it's online somewhere. He fell on the apron. Someone said a couple of cruiserweights are hurt. Rich Swann, Tony Nese. But
what's the deal with the Seth thing we talked about? I think a little bit before. Is that could be a work though, kind of with everything going on. So it's, and I say it like it's, who knows? I hope it is for his sake. I said before, I remember. But if not, it's repeated knee injuries are never a good thing. So.
Maybe it could be. I mean, I think the last update was that he's going to be okay right around Mania, so there might be something to that.
They never know that. That's just honestly, you never. That's why would you? That's stupid in my opinion. Like if the guy, that's why I think it's all just part of the deal. Like a guy gets injured. I understand you want to be back for the big pay-per-view, but
yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
You're talking about life and like living in like and just and if that is not as strong as it should be and you come back too soon and then the things that you had surgically repaired before are more stressed, what do you think happens then? Like, and not to say it will, he could be totally fine. And I get it from his standpoint. Like, I hope they do some stem cell research therapy with him, and afterwards, like, they got to do something if they want it. Like, I would like him, if he comes back, where it's 100% for sure. Like, no, he's as strong as he's going to be, but it's definitely not as serious as the first one, so if it is injured.
And speaking about injuries, I mean, we've all had our fair share of injuries, and you've been known to injure people before, so I figure it's a safe topic to talk about.
No, I think we talked about before, and it was always funny to me, and we always talk about with the effing marks how they believe the movie is real. WWE did on multiple occasions, and I believe it was like 4 or 5 times, and it was somewhere in that neighborhood where guys had injuries and had to have surgery. And they did something with me right before, and they would go on .com and say that Ryback injured so-and-so, causing surgery. Punk's knee injury, dude's knee was already screwed up.
Okay.
He had nothing to do with me. And but they used it for storyline purposes. But
like, really help you out, yeah.
Yeah, where it just made people as a baby face at the time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why would you say I hurt this? Like, even though he's a heel, but he's loved still by a lot of people. Sure. And where they believed I really hurt his knee. Kofi had, I remember, bone chips in his elbow, and we did a thing in Edmonton, I believe, where I had to power bomb through 3 tables or something, and it was I was a heel then, but they did the same thing where I injured his elbow and put it online, and people believed it, and because they think the movie's real. And multiple times I just remember why, and you never know about it. You just go and look, and you're because you'll get hate tweets and hate mail, and why am I getting this? Oh, the .com people put up that I injured somebody again. Thanks, guys. But yeah, no, I told you that schedule up there with everybody, and they're actually, that schedule, you got to take care of yourself. If you Tony Nese and these guys, when a lot of times happens when you first go up there and holy shit, I got to do this 4 or 5 nights a week at a very high level. It's not one match a week. And you got to harden your body up to it really quickly, or else you fall off really quickly. And the WWE's actually, I think they're here in Vegas next week, Monday Night Raw, I think.
Yeah, are you going?
Yeah, me and Mark for life are going to be front row. I don't know, not at all. I will make sure to be very busy that day. I'm sure Mark Carrano will probably text me about the fucking weather again, like he did last time. They were here for the pay-per-view after I'd already walked out. He texted me, I told you, how this weather, and it couldn't have been any more of what the fuck are you texting me about weather for? Come on. Mark, it's fucking cold right now, and so if you come out here and it's cold, you don't need to text me this weather, it's really cold, big guy. It's what happens in the winter.
I noticed the thing with the injury thing that people, some people are worried about the whole, cruiserweights are now a thing, but that the cruiserweight style may promote more injuries, and want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, if they just sold everything properly between the proper length of time, you wouldn't have to do half the stuff that you do.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I don't know, did you watch the Cruiserweight, which it was very, very, very well done. It was way better than anything the network or WWE's put out in a while, aside from occasional NXT stuff.
I still say, I've seen the Cruiserweight thing, they all rush sell. They rush sell everything.
Did you see that? You saw the Invitational? You watched
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought there were a lot of good things with that also. The guys are all talented. They've thrown out the psychology of selling though. So that's like, so how is that like, it's cool. You can do anything. We get it. Like, but you can't do power moves. So like, why don't you sell? Just sell. That's all there is to it. It's not a hard, they wouldn't have to do half the things that they do and they would get all the reactions would be higher. If it's just, go watch Bret Hart matches. That's all I'll say.
But a lot, at the same time, there's people that would disagree because now I've noticed that, and a lot of people have noticed that the way they wrestled in those matches is different from the way they're wrestling on Raw, or they're not really on, I don't believe they're on SmackDown, but a lot of people.
You know why? Because they have producers that know how to work that are telling them to fucking sell.
Okay. But don't you think that makes them kind of the same thing and blends in when they're like put in a different bracket?
No,
you don't think so?
Not when they do the certain things at the right time. Why do you have to do 10 things like that when you could do 2 and stand out? Why?
I don't know. I don't know what makes their division special other than like, hey, they're smaller guys wrestling the same exact.
You could still do it, but sell. But if you don't have the time to sell, then don't put 10 things in there that you shouldn't be doing.
I guess they would have to be, if we met in the middle of what we think, I think they would have to do less but more spectacular things and put over those things more to make them more stand out. But I don't know if they're doing that. It feels like
or storytelling rather than just athletic move. Like everyone's athletic there. Like we could all do athletic moves. Sell. Mm-hmm. And they're working guys of the similar size. So psychology wise, your power move should still do what bigger guys are doing to other bigger guys. Like it's not, I get it. You could do a million things. Cool. Just have it make sense. It's not hard.
I also think it's kind of confusing when you have guys on the roster that kind of teeter on being whatever a cruiserweight 205 and under. When you have guys like, Tony Nese, he probably is really relatively around 205 pounds.
Yeah.
And you have guys on the roster like, dare I say, like a Finn Balor, who probably is legitimately maybe 180 pounds, 185 pounds.
Yeah.
I think it's a little weird if you really think about the long-term thing, or I don't know if it's limiting, or I don't know. It's a little strange dynamic with the whole. I feel like a lot of it's filler. All those guys are great. They're great athletes. I know a lot of them personally, but it feels like a lot of times it's almost filler to fill that 3 hours of Raw. I feel.
Yeah. No. It's just you're right with that, but I'm just. There's old school psychology and new school psychology, and I think you have to respect both. And like you said, there's a happy medium with it all, and they stand out with what they do on those things, anyways. Like that, wrestling was never about flips and doing gymnastic moves. It never will be, and it never was, and it doesn't, and it will never draw at as high of a level as true storytelling. And when you have an actual story in there, and people, I love that. Like I'm learning how to do backflips. They have their place, and you just have to learn how to sell the moves correctly. But a lot of guys, I only have 6 minutes tonight. I want to show everybody how fucking athletic I am. So all the fans tell me how good I am and how I should have a bigger push. So I want to do a bunch of cool stuff and throw it all away. Like you just don't do it. You do what you could do in that allotted time, and it doesn't. It's not gonna.
So your issue, or the thing that bothers you, is the fact that guys are just, they're all trying to do the same thing in terms of look at how athletic I am. Who gives
everybody could do all these athletic moves. You could teach anybody how to do all these athletic moves. Granted, there's a few guys that could do a back, like AJ do running and doing a backflip over the top rope. Like not everybody can do that. And like, so there's certain things like that, but a majority of it you could teach yourself how to do. If I can learn how to do a fucking backflip and do some other things, anybody could do it. Like so it's not, but they're throwing the psychology. There's a weight division in Ultimate Fighting for a reason, because typically the bigger and heavier you are, the more power that you have. And I think that has, but like, I think that has to always stay in effect. I think that never should be thrown out the window. But I think there's just, you watch and it's just getting in the habit. They want to try to do too much in too little time. But I've seen guys even go longer and like on the independents, and they don't sell the moves. They're just right back up, and they, like I told you, Moose even talked about it, and like And he's awesome. And he compared, the fighting spirit to getting shot in the shoulder. I'm like, that's cool when you do a move that's to a body part. But when you get hit in the head, get hit in the head and see how quick you're running around. And like, especially if it looks really good. How many guys do something that looks really good? It gets a great reaction. It's a headshot. Bullet to the head. And they're up and running fucking 10 seconds later. It makes it worse for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but Hunter and them haven't helped it either by allowing certain aspects of it. So,
and I think we were talking about injuries, or even more so. We spoke about this earlier, and you said that a lot of people, especially in England, are. I actually had this today, where I've had people inquire about training in my schools, and I don't train anybody unless they're 16 years and up.
Yeah.
And even if I prefer them to be 18, but if they're 16, I'll meet with their parents, and I'll meet with them to really go, okay, if this kid's athletic enough, like we have a kid at Creative Pro, very athletic kid. He's 16. He's on all those different sports teams. He can clearly, he works out. I'll train this guy. And I've had problems in the past where I've had someone who didn't do that, and they're frail, and I had to put up with the fucking, almost like the soccer moms that complain about, they treat wrestling like it's, PAL baseball.
Yeah.
But I remember you were saying that you were in England, and you noticed that a lot of people, because it's so popular over there, that are trying to get their kids into it as young as they can, and just not a good thing.
It is absolutely stupid, and it's disgusting, and it is sad. I went over there for Rev Pro, and I can't tell you how many parents, they were all very nice people, but there were two different kids that met me that had serious neck injuries. How
old were they?
Like 10 or 11 years old.
Jesus Christ.
That had to take time off from wrestling, they told me. And I was sitting there, and it was happening, and there were multiple people telling me we have our kids training, and like their kids
not like amateur wrestling, like pro wrestling.
Pro wrestling. And I was like, okay, how old are you? And the kid like 10, and he's sitting there, and like his neck's all screwed up, and I'm like what is wrong with you guys? Like, and I remember we talked about this, and it's just like, it's so concerning because you have parents that are huge wrestling fans, and they think they're like doing their kid a favor by like letting them learn how to go and like wrestle. But like their bodies, one, are not even close to being fully developed. Two, they're not mentally fully developed yet.
Yeah.
In a sport where you are trusting your body with another human being, and you're dealing with adolescent kids at a very young age who get frustrated. You never know how a kid will react. And trusting them to do moves that could kill another human being. And it was like, I sat there in shock as I met, and it was so many different kids that were in wrestling school, and a lot of them were fine, but there were ones with neck injuries and things. And I was just like, when did this become a thing to start like letting kids learn how to wrestle? And I remember I even asked I go, you guys train kids? And they're like, yeah, but just chain wrestling. But how many kids, you tell me, you let a fucking kid in the ring, they're going to stick to just chain wrestling?
Nope, not at all. I mean, I'll tell you from experience, with my wrestling school, a lot of times we got to do whatever it can to pay the bills. And a lot of things that are popular at my Creative Pro school in New York is birthday parties.
Yeah.
So a lot of times parents will be like, hey, it's big business for us. So basically they rent, and if you want to have your birthday party, go to Creative Pro Wrestling, creativeprowrestling.com.
If you're going to do it, just commit, do it.
But it's the perfect thing. I wish I had this when I was little. Cabanas talked about this before. So basically, a kid between the ages of, the youngest I think we had was 6, and the oldest was like maybe 11. So they basically go there, and the way I break it down is they get a half hour of, we have an MC. It used to be me, and I passed on the duties to my friend Kip because I became too salty. I couldn't do it.
Not Kip Christensen, right?
No, no. Who's Kip Christensen?
Eli Cottonwood, better known as.
Oh, Jesus Christ! He'd be great at birthday parties.
Oh,
so
I would love it.
They bring like 20 kids, and the first half hour is like a wrestling show. Baby faces up, and then we break for pizza.
Never a heel win in there.
I've learned from experience that if you have the heels win, you could get a lot of crying children. I've had many times where the birthday boy gets too scared, and I've had to pull him into the office and tell him that we're all friends and it's all going to be okay.
Oh man.
I've had time, like when the kid's a real genuine wrestling fan, it's awesome. But there's been times where we've had birthday parties where the parents are the fans.
Yep.
And it's like, your kid doesn't even fucking like this. Like, he's just here because
what is shitty parent, by the way, if that's what you do. In all seriousness, that's a pretty shitty parent.
A couple of those. But for the most part, they're awesome. So anyway, like,
yeah.
But at first, though, so get this, I get emails all the time. Now, when people book the birthday parties, I tell them, it's half-hour show, we eat pizza, and then they watch the big main events. And then it's always like, we can incorporate the birthday boy where maybe he'll hold the title belts or he'll count 1, 2, 3, and we get him in the ring. And our new thing, because at first,
this is a hell of a business, by the way. This is actually a really cool. I feel like your business is going to pick up after this podcast.
I fucking hope so.
I don't think you should ever have to wrestle again. This is entertainment. I want to see this on Shark Tank.
I've thought about that, but because there's all these things for girls, like princess birthday parties. There's nothing for guys.
No, this is the ultimate child birthday party.
It is.
Have you thought about featuring an appearance by the big guy Ryback for an included fee?
I've had guys, the parents book it, and they're like, "So, who can you get at this birthday party? Can you get like Shawn Michaels here?" I'm like, "No, it doesn't work that way." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I can."
Kids love the big guy. I think you should start maybe promoting me a little more for this.
I'm like, "Sure, I'll get Shawn Michaels. It'll just be an added $20,000, and we can work that out." So,
or Caitlin Croft, aka Chris Pavone, doing a Shawn Michaels impersonation to the kid
$500
for $500.
And I give him $150.
Yeah.
So they come in and they get a half-hour show. Then they break for pizza. They have their Capri Sun, and then they sit down for the main event.
Birthday cake too, or no?
Yeah, after the main event, that's how you get them to.
Okay.
We're all gonna have cake and presents, and then at first though, when I start, I've actually been trained in the birthday party because at first I didn't know what I was doing, and I kind of figured it out. Where like the kids just want to go in the ring, and all they want to do is beat the shit out of each other. So it's almost like, some of them are cool with watching a show, but they all like, can I get in the ring? Can I get in the ring? So the big gimmick is when the MC comes out, you tell the crowd, if you guys behave and if you're a good crowd, you can come in the ring at the end and we'll all take a picture together. So that's the way you save that.
Yeah.
But there's been the first couple of birthday parties that I ran, I didn't know this. And they're like, can we get in the ring? And I'm like, no. And then pretty soon there's 20 kids in the ring fucking beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
So going back to what you said, and I could talk more about the birthday parties, but once they're in the ring.
I love the birthday parties. I'm so fascinated by this.
So we've had some really good ones, and it's great for my students because it's live experience. You're working in front of 20 kids with an additional parent, and they're all like, what the fuck is this? This is great. And they're drinking coffee, and the kids are fucking going crazy. Some get scared and cover their ears. They're a bunch of pussies. Some are awesome.
This has given me a great idea. I want to open a business here in Vegas. If everything flops, everything. If I lose everything and I'm like down and out, but I have enough to just rent a building with a ring and it's just big guy birthday parties. You get a match, Little Caesars pizza, and a shitty birthday cake from the store, and I could just live the rest of my life.
There's an art to it. There's an art to the pizza too, because at first I'm like, man, there's a lot of fat kids at these parties, and they eat a lot of pizza. So the trick is, when I order from Domino's, they have to cut the slices in 16ths, so it's half a slice. Because a lot of the kids will
I love how we're just getting like the fat stuff, and we like nothing against fat people. I love my whole dad's side of the family is fat, everybody, and I love them all very much. But if you're fat, you're fat. Who cares?
So there's been many times where the kids come up, they're like, "Can I have another one?" I'm like, "Holy shit, this kid ate half a pizza. I got to order more." So you got to cut it in, and so that way they're eating slower. and it's cheaper.
This is
And
that
I'll
was the
occasionally-
hardest I've laughed in a while. That was good.
There was one time where I had to kind of, a lot of the birthday parties I don't go to anymore, I let a different crew handle them because I was MC and then I normally wrestle on them as well. And there was one time where I was so short-staffed. And it's a shame because you would think that my students would want to wrestle. Most of them do want to wrestle, but this one day we didn't have enough guys. So I'm like, fuck, I have to MC this party. I'm going to wrestle in the main events as Pat CENA. I have army shorts and I just...
Oh.
So I got to relate to the kids, man.
God damn it, you're my fucking manager. And you're wrestling as Pat CENA? This is...
Occasionally, yeah. I've done...
I feel like you've done him more times than once.
Yeah, there's been a couple. There's been at least 2 or 3 Pat CENA appearances at the old party. And I remember Broski saw a picture of it, and he's like, I hate Pat CENA. He looks cheap.
If I get a singlet made for you, will you be Ryback on a few of the birthday parties?
I couldn't pull that off that well, man. I just keep the hat on. I had a baggy shirt, and I was like, whatever. So here's one time. It was summertime, dude. And I MC the birthday party. And then I'm like, fuck, I got to wrestle. And when you're the main babyface, you got to wrestle twice.
Yeah.
So you wrestle a match, and then at the ends, all the bad guys come out, and then all the good guys wrestle in like a big 4-on-4 where you incorporate the kid. It's to do the final 3 count, whatever. And then I'm like, oh, fuck, nobody's serving the birthday cake, which is the part after. So I'm fucking sweating buckets. And I'm like lighting this cake, and a lot of the parents just mentally check out. And I'm like, do you want to light the cake for your kid and bring it in? They're like, no, you do it. I'm like, all right. So I'm fucking shirtless, dripping sweat on this birthday cake, lighting it for this fucking kid.
This is
like,
the
here you
greatest
go.
thing ever to me. The candles are going out because your sweat is just pouring all over
That's
them.
what was happening. I'm like, I'm fucking dripping sweat on this fucking cake. But yeah, man, birthday parties are big business at actually one more story for a birthday party.
This is going to be my business. Is going to be me wrestling Disco Inferno multiple times every day for a business thing. Just serving shitty Caesars. I love Little Caesars pizza, but
That's great.
it's a little, and some birthday cake from the local grocery store, and yeah, just living life, brothered out.
There was one birthday. This was the first one I ever did, and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And normally I have them in my school, and which is easy. It's all my ring is up 24 hours a day, which is awesome. So this birthday party, they wanted the ring to come to their place. So I brought the ring to this it was like an Elks Lodge. It was a small building.
Whoa!
And it was an ethnic birthday party. You know, everyone was it was an African American birthday party in a not so great area.
All right.
So, but they're all into it, and it looked beautiful and everything. And we set the ring up, and we have a couple matches, and I might have made a joke in the locker room. I'm like, all right, all baby faces up, and then I realized that all the baby faces were the white guys. So I'm like, we're switching this around. If you're darker than cinnamon, you're winning tonight. So in the main events, I had my one of my students. You've probably seen him before. He's a great. His name's Delroy. He looks like a young Ron Simmons. Very athletic dude, and he's wrestling Jeff or Craven, who you know.
Yeah.
And so they're in the main events, and it's supposed to be like 10 minutes. So as they're wrestling, I go to the mom. And I go, you know, how do you like the party? She's like, this is the best thing ever. Thank you guys. You guys are so awesome. I can't believe this. And I go, yeah, this is the last match. She's like, the last match? She's like, his daddy ain't here yet. His daddy ain't coming for another 30 minutes. And I go, oh, fuck.
Daddy ain't ever coming.
I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like, this party's been going on for 2 hours.
Yeah. Dad's not coming if it's been that long. I'm sorry.
So I walk to the ring, and I like kind of sneak towards the ring, and I go, Delroy, you have to go 40 more minutes at this birthday party. They're like, no. I'm like, no, I'm serious. You guys got to wrestle another 40 minutes.
Wait, this really happened?
I swear on my life. And they wrestled for about like they maybe went another 25.
Okay.
And then at the end of it, they're just like I think the dad finally got there and they were already done. But then Craven was smart enough to go, all right, kids, like, you know, now that we got to this part of the party, what wrestling moves do you like? And they would call a wrestling move, and Delroy would give them a move, like choke slam, and they would just do moves to each other to keep it going longer after the match.
Whoa.
So before I tightened up over time, I learned the birthday
Now,
party.
the important question I have out of all this is,
Okay.
did they sell the move appropriately for the kids who this is being ingrained in their heads at a young
Yeah.
age, or did they pop right up and go move for move?
No, we put it over, but we had to explain to them because a lot of them weren't, you know, a lot of the kids there were into it, but a lot of them were scared to death. They've never seen wrestling. So we have to kind of paint it up. Hey, we're all friends. We're all trained performers. You know, we can't like have them believing that we're crippled.
I would have just been selling for 5 minutes between each move to really milk it. Just
But we have a lot of birthday parties where the dad wants to be involved, and
that should be the gimmick. The dad should always be the hero of the party. That
some of
should
them are,
be-
if they can get in the fucking ring. Like I think people underestimate. You see
Here's
it on shows.
all you need. The hero spot is a universal spot, which is one universal dad punch to the forehead that could be done either on the apron or on the floor. And then it's the same thing every time. I'm telling you, I want to map out this business and I want to go on Shark Tank with it. It is wrestling birthday parties. Daniel Bryan would be all over this if he was here right now.
I think, yeah.
This is money.
It
I
is.
never thought about it that hard before, but holy shit. It is, why the fuck not?
Yeah.
It's G.I. Joe and Ninja Turtles and everything on steroids in one.
The funniest part is watching like a dad, like I think you see it on like all the shows when they try to get in they're not used to getting into a ring and they trip over the rope. Like they don't.
Yeah. Me and Cody watched that over in England. They let fans in the ring for the photo shoots. And like, we're like, oh my God. And like, a few of them were marked for life. And like you could just see like, buddy, how can you critique anything with wrestling? You can't even get into the goddamn ring. I'm not kidding. Multiple people just fell. And it's like, oh, oops.
That's a good point you bring up because a lot of times when I see like I don't want to say promoters, but people
Most
that
of the
critique
promoters
the industry.
can't get in. Most of the promoters can't get in the ring either. Yeah,
It's like hit the ropes 3 times and do one roll. Like you want to critique how good someone is, and you think like it's mind blowing.
I can't do it, but I have an eye for talent. Damn it!
CreatorProWrestling.com birthday parties.
I'm sold. I would like to invest in these. I would do some appearances for these, Buck.
All right. You know who did do an appearance for one?
Oh,
We got to roll with this.
This is what I live for. We haven't even touched.
I've never told you this. Halloween, right?
Okay.
So I get some crazy stories about, or like some pretty wild inquiries. So on Halloween, a couple weeks before, I get an email, maybe in August, and this guy goes, "Hey, look, I want to have a surprise party for my brother. He's turning 40. Do you guys do? You know, I know you guys do birthday parties for kids, but do you think we can rent your building?" You're already laughing.
I'm sorry.
So I go, yeah, we can do whatever. If you want to, because people rent our building all the time. I've had bachelor parties in my building. I've had shows. I've had everything. And you've never been there yet.
You're a hell of a businessman, from kids' birthday parties to bachelor parties. Pat Buck is your hookup.
That building is expensive. We gotta make rent.
You are a real life Scott Steiner.
So.
I would like to wrestle Scotty, by the way. Have I mentioned that before?
I think it'll happen eventually. Sure.
Anybody out there, book the big guy Ryback versus Scott Steiner. I would like to wrestle him. Okay. I always liked him a lot. Funny story. My first AOL screen name was Big Poppa Superstar, 890 whatever 89087 my zip code, whatever it was because of Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner. I loved him a lot as a kid, so I would like to perform with him.
Okay. I bet you it'll probably be my play. June 10th sounds like good. I might do that for up here. So what I was saying is before, so they want to rent the building on Halloween for this guy's 40th birthday party.
Okay.
Okay, cool. I give him a quote, and they go, "Hey, by the way, he has a favorite wrestler. Can you book this guy to be here?" And I go, "Well, it depends on who it is, you know." And they go, "It's Arn Anderson. Is his favorite wrestler of all time."
Oh yeah.
So I go, Arn's under contract. He's one of the highest agents in WWE. That's really kind of impossible. I'm friends with Tully Blanchard though, and they're like, no. If anything,
Nope.
it has to be Arn.
Yep.
So they give me the price quote, and or I give them the price. I go, look. They're like, we can pay this much for Arn Anderson, and I go, let me just see. So I get Double A's number.
Is this
I don't
on
really
like
know
maybe
him.
like for an off day for Arn possibly or no?
Yeah, it's a Saturday.
Okay.
It happens to be a Saturday. And so I check in. I was like, hey, can you do and he knew through Hawkins that it was his school, but I wanted to bring Arn in to do a seminar as well.
Yeah.
So I went, I can kill two birds with one stone. So I talked to Arn. He goes, yeah, I'm there. I go, would you mind like doing a brief appearance at a party the same day and just in and out and sign some autographs? He goes, yeah, I don't care. So book Arn.
Arn's a hell of a guy.
Arn does the greatest seminar we ever had at Creative Pro. It was fantastic. Everyone's minds were melting. Arn got in the ring. And then I was like, all right.
He used to throw on the knee pads and be a little more physical back early on from like NXT days. But I could just tell looking at like he's a very truly special human being. He's a very good guy. Like I like Arn a lot. So I'm not shocked at all by this.
So I couldn't believe that. Like, I'm like, oh crap, I'm pulling this off. We have a seminar. It's great. And then there's a time gap between the seminar ending and when this party is going to be there. So I'm like, all right, Arn, let's go. We went to Applebee's and we got something to eat. We ate a little bit. Might have grabbed a beer or two. And we come back to the party, and it's a 40-year-old surprise birthday party.
Yeah.
And they're all dressed in full gimmick. These 40-year-old non-wrestling fans, like, full, like, pretending they're wrestlers, like, all this crazy shit. I'm like, Arn is going to be so like, what the is this? He didn't give a and they present the guys in the ring. It's his birthday party, and his brother's giving like a speech to him, and Arn is in the office, and he's a surprise, and all of a sudden they cue him. The Horseman music starts playing.
I was just gonna ask. Yeah, you got to have Horseman music for this.
Horse music plays. Two girls go to get him. They bring him out. He throws up the 4.
Wait, who are the two girls, if you don't mind?
They were friends of his, but they were very good-looking girls.
Okay.
Dressed as divas. They bring Arn in the ring. He shakes his hand. They take a couple pictures together. He signs an autograph. The guy is in like tears. He's so emotional. Arn's like, nice to meet you. I take him right out of the back door. We go right to the airport. The day is done. It was the perfect booking ever in history.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That doesn't shock me one bit. He's a hell of a man. That's a funny Arn story. This is one thing I do remember my last year there. This has nothing to do with the birthday party. But it was one of the funniest moments I've ever seen. Arn like will always like he likes a good shower and like after a long day of producing before they hit the road, everyone likes a good shower. And at the arenas, we have the locker rooms with the showers. And sometimes there's a TV locker room. Then there's they're all the same. They're just named different things. The TV locker room is just a TV locker room that they film in for like TV segments. But you're allowed to get changed in there. But if they're filming, you got to get out. But then they got like the male talent locker room. And that's actually another thing. They always pick the smallest goddamn rooms for the talent. Like WWE, give the guys bigger locker rooms. Like, goddamn, like seriously, it's more times than not. Like it's But Arn went to go shower, and Hornswoggle and El Torito were in the shower already, and like he just saw two midget asses, and he goes, "Not today," and he just turned around and walked out to the other. To this day, it is still one of the funniest things I've seen in person, and I love him. He's never like, and every time I ever had to like put somebody over, it was always easier doing it when Arn told me. Like he had a way of making it way better. So the fact that you say his appearance was golden, it doesn't shock me one bit.
No, I think one of the greatest minds, maybe top 5 ever in wrestling. Just brilliant.
And it's even better than people know because he has to work within the system there, and he knows what he has to do within the system and what he can't do and whatnot. But you probably saw it with his seminar, the things that come out of his mouth from his mind. Yeah. Things that you wouldn't even think about, but they just make so much sense that like that's why I always like, and it's like, it was always, I told you, I always wish I could have wrestled guys like Edge and Christian and just all these other guys, Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit and these guys. And like, just to like, cause they were in the ring with guys like, with Ric Flair and all these other legends. Sure. It was a different time, and it gets passed down from one to the other. And like, that's why I'd love, and like me and him have butted heads before, but Triple H, I would like to truly wrestle Triple H. And Vince, I know you like controversy, so make it happen.
All right.
And that's what I'm going to end with tonight.
I think that's perfect time to wrap up. So WrestleProOnline.com, March 11th, we have a big show coming back. But the most important thing, if you're going to WrestleMania, I know a lot of you guys are, please come down, WrestleCon, WrestlePro WrestleCon on that Thursday night. Please come down, support us. We're trying to sell all of our floor seats. And I'm Buck Never Stops across all platforms.
And I'm at Ryback22 on Twitter, the big guy Ryback22 on Instagram, Ryback247 on Snapchat. And thank you guys for listening. You've just listened to another episode of Conversation with the Big Guy.